I showed in an earlier video how to make the felted portion of the felted beaded bangle. So if you've finished your felted portion, you might be interested now to make the beaded bead portion. And this is using peyote stitch that's done tubular with varying sizes of beads to cause it to undulate wildly. I call it undulating peyote, but it's also known by the term Cellini spiral. I think the first time I encountered that in print was in a book by Virginia Blakelock, Those Bad Bad Beads. And then Deb Samuels did an article in Beadwork magazine several years ago about Cellini spiral based on Virginia's article, I think. And then we encountered it again in Carol Wilcox Wells' amazing book from years ago, The Art and Elegance of Bead Weaving. She has a bracelet here, a bangle that slips on by Suzanne Golden. It's one of her iconic Suzanne Golden masterpieces. And it's Cellini spiral as well. You might recognize it as being on the back cover. And the instructions start by saying that there are 3 dummy rows that must be removed before closing the bracelet. And I thought, oh my gosh, dummy rows. I ought to be able to do it without dummy rows. So when I wrote the recipe in Mastering Beadwork, I showed how to do it without dummy rows. And today I'm excited to show you a way to do it without any step up. It's so easy. When it occurred to me to do it this way, I had to dope slap myself right in the face. And I'm tickled to death to be able to show you this method today. So I've taken a wingspan of fireline thread and put it on a size 11 or 12 Tulip Beading Needle. And I'm going to pick up beads from a very small 15 to the size 4mm magatama. And I'm going to do it in this order. I'll pick up one of the tiniest beads only, just one, and then 2 of the next size 15, 2 of the size 11, 2 of the next size 11, 2 of the size 8, 2 of another size 8, 2 6s, and 2 magatamas. And now in decreasing order, let's pick up 2 beads going back down to the smallest again. So we're going to go back to 2 6s, 2 8s, 2 of the other 8, 2 11s, 2 of the other 11, and 2 of the 15. Now notice that I stopped short of picking up the very first bead again. This way we've started our tubular peyote with an odd number of beads, which totally eliminates the need for a step up. And because we're doing it at the size 15, who would notice anyway? So it's an amazing improvement on the way we've been doing it for years. Now I've pinched off the thread in the middle so they don't all go sliding off and make me feel silly. And when you've pinched it off like this, wind it around your finger and pinch where the threads cross. So put your thumb on top and then put your middle finger on the thread so that you can slide your needle up under the thread and come around and go up through the loop that's created. And so you're effectively making a half hitch knot on the thread. So when you pull it tight, nobody jumps over the knot. An alternative to doing it that way would be to simply pass through all the beads again and then tie them in a knot. And we don't want a tight knot, we want there to be some play in it, so just that half hitch is fine. So I'm going to slip this on my tulip needle tube as an armature. It gives me something to hold on to when I'm stitching. I'm going to tape the tail down. Let's see, it's getting fidgety here. So I'm going to take a little bit of masking tape, and I suggest to you that you save the little tag off your loaf of bread. It's a wonderful way to mark the end of your tape so you don't have to go scraping around for it every time. So put it back like this. Okay, so I'll take a little bit of tape and I'm going to just wind it barbershop pole style around the tube, securing the tail along the tube. So the very first thing I want to do is pass through that single size 15 bead. Sure I do. There we go. So we've passed through the 15. And here's what we're going to do for the entire project. Whatever bead we're coming out of, you're going to pick up one just like it and skip a bead and go into the second bead. So I'm going to be skipping the first bead of the next flavor and going into the one after it. So it's the second bead of the next flavor. And then push each of the new beads on top of the beadwork. So you're going to be building it up as you go. So I'm coming out of one of these clear 15s, so I'll pick up a clear 15 and I'll go into the second black bead. So I'm coming out of black, so I'm going to pick up black and go into the second of the new flavor. So I'll pick up one that looks just like that one, and I'll skip a bead and go into the second bead of the next flavor. And so I'll go around the entire tube like that. So let me fast forward to a piece I started earlier. So here we've just about gone around through the whole round, and you'll notice that the beads are lining up in sort of in a spiral already, only 3 beads tall. And when we come around to the very beginning, we pick up the black bead and go into the 15, and now we pick up a 15 and go into the single 15, and it's the high one of the two, so there's no step up. We've gone all the way around without a step up. So ad infinitum, we'll just do that same mantra. Pick up a bead just like the one you're coming out of, skip over the space and go into the high bead of the next flavor. And we're going to do that all the way around. So we're coming out of the clear 15, so we'll pick up a clear 15 and go into the high black. So we're coming out of black, so we'll pick up black and go into the high next flavor. And so it goes. So here I've done a couple of additional rounds, and you can see how the undulations are starting to form. When you're down to about 6 or 8 inches of thread, simply abandon that end, slide the beadwork off of the tube, and put a needle on the tail end, and you've still got half as much thread to weave off of that end. And you don't change your mantra, it's exactly the same thing all the way through. So I thoroughly enjoyed sharing this technique with you. I think it makes it fun and exciting, and I hope that you have fun with your beadwork and you make your bangle. Thank you for joining me today.